periodic veterinary inspections are essential. A proactive approach to identify subtle problems and a general health check and lameness evaluation should be done periodically. I think it depends on the intensity of your working and the intensity of training. The horses that I take care of for the team, I see them monthly. But that's excessive, but necessary for many of those horses. I think that having your veterinarian, a veterinarian who is a practitioner that's definitely interested in sport and definitely interested in the athletic horse, not just simply in vaccinating and worming and taking care of lacerations, is very important. Find yourself someone you can work with that's genuinely interested in your sport. And have them check your horse periodically, quarterly, at least twice a year. But I think at least quarterly is a good idea. And you'll probably reap benefits from that in the long run and maybe have fewer vet bills in the long run as well. Lameness diagnostics should include a thorough physical examination, a good general observation of the horse. Stepping back, always step back and look at the horse and try to take the horse's overall symmetry into account. Look for any abnormalities of muscular development or lack thereof. Obvious deformations in their structural makeup, whether they're really pigeon-toed or really slew-footed or cow-hocked or whatever, and what can that do to predispose them to certain kinds of problems. Palpation, every horse that I examine, and this is me personally, but every horse that I examine, I do a modified acupuncture examination on it. And that just allows me to touch the horse and touch the horse all over. And it's just become a habit that that's the way I do my lameness examination, because then I get to know the horse. And by touching the horse all over, usually by the time I'm finished examining it, they're no longer afraid of me and trying to run away from me and everything else. And so they find out I'm not there just to stick a needle in them. And it gives me a little insight with the acupuncture training I've had. I am a certified acupuncturist, but the training I've had and so forth, that just gives me a little insight as to where things might be becoming a problem. And then we do flexion and stress tests. We do passive flexion tests where we're just picking the limbs up and looking for range of motion and whether the horse resents forced flexion of the limb or something. And then we watch the horses move and we flex them again. I like to watch them in hand, if possible, with the handler not really encumbering their way of going. Depends on your horse. Some horses are easy to handle this way. Some are trying to bite you constantly or trying to run away. So we have to take that all into consideration when we're examining them. But this way I can do a little bit of a modified neuro exam on the horse to make sure that it's not ataxic or that it doesn't have any evidence of some neurological dysfunction. I like to see the horses work on the lunge line if it's at all possible. Some horses are great about that, and some horses are too fractious. I think you have to be very careful about that. I have found many times that if I have the option of working on a horse that's not going to be competing soon, that mild sedation can be a great benefit, and that giving them just a little touch of dormosedan just to take the edge off of them won't affect their sensitivity to soreness and lameness, but will calm them down to where they're not going to be a threat to themselves, their handler, and we can watch them move in hand and on the lunge safely. I don't lunge very lame horses because there may be a very significant reason why they're so lame. And then the under saddle examination is used to demonstrate lameness that's not otherwise apparent. There's a paper that will be published soon that I function as a reviewer. This is just showing a little test, and I'll explain my paper in a minute, but this is a little exam that we do just to see how supple the horse is and how willing it is to bend and flex. And we ask them to flex laterally, we ask them to flex down, we ask them to flex between their front limbs and beside either side of their limb. And then we also ask them to extend their neck. And this horse clearly is having difficulty flexing. His way to manage getting that carrot is to back up because he can't reach it. And this horse did in fact have an old cervical fracture, and his neck was stiff, and he couldn't flex his neck. But this is something I do on all my lameness examinations, just to assess a horse's flexion, since neck problems are something we see in dressage horses. And we see them as a matter of developmental arthritis that happens over the years from horse forced head position. And it just goes with the territory. So you need to be aware of the fact that they're prone to it. As I started to say about the lameness thing, there's a paper that will probably be published this spring by an author from England, a very well-known author. And she took 57 horses that were reportedly sound in the mind of their owner and or their trainer, and examined these horses in hand, did flexions, examined them on the lunge line, and then examined them under saddle. You know how many of those 57 horses were found to be sound at the end of all of that? 5. That's kind of shocking, isn't it? And a greater majority of them were found to be unsound when they were ridden. Okay? So a riding examination is really important. And it's I look at lots of horses every day that I just jog them up and down and flex them and so forth. If they're a recheck or something, or I'm looking at a specific issue, or they're very lame and I don't need to see it ridden. But a lot of the horses I examine, I have them get on and we watch them work, because many times problems arise with rider, balance, weight, and so forth that are not evident when the horse is examined in hand or on the lunge line. And this is important too with regard to purchase examinations. I think it's very important. Subtle lamenesses may be apparent. A change in gait may be obvious, say for example at a trot when the diagonal is changed. And hind limb lameness may be more apparent with some back issues, but only under saddle. Here's an example, I hope this video works, of a young horse. This is a hunter. And so it's not a collected going dressage horse, but the point being that it's a 3-4-year-old horse, barely broke. It's a little reluctant to go forward, but it chugs along here. And it's an old video, so I apologize for being a little blurry. But I think you can kind of get a feeling for the rhythm of the horse. And so we're watching this, and we said, okay, well, let's change directions and see what she looks like going the other way. I'm just going to let this run out, or I may screw it up here. Okay, so then we send her the other way. And she's quite lame on her left front, going to the right. You'll really see it when she turns right here in front of you. It's not a profound lameness, but she's lame. That was not evident in hand. It was not evident on flexion tests, but it was evident with a rider on. And it actually got a little worse as we worked her. So, watching them under saddle is important, and I would recommend that you get your horse evaluated periodically that way.